Hidden deep in Indonesia, an ancient pyramid is challenging everything we know about history. Beneath its mysterious layers, researchers have uncovered underground chambers and evidence of iron being melted long before the Iron Age. This isn't just another discovery. It's a groundbreaking revelation that could completely rewrite the history of human civilization. Join us as we uncover how the Gunung Padang pyramid is set to change the entire course of history. Indonesia's ancient puzzle. Gunung Padang, a mysterious site in the highlands of Indonesia's West Java province, Indonesia, has captivated researchers and history enthusiasts alike. Located roughly 120 kilometers south of Jakarta, it challenges long-held beliefs about the origins of human civilization. This site, appearing at first glance like an ordinary hill, is believed by many to be one of the world's oldest pyramid-like structures, constructed by an ancient culture whose capabilities remain a puzzle. Visiting Gunung Padang is an adventure that begins with a scenic 3-hour drive from Jakarta. From the base of the hill, visitors ascend via a steep stone staircase or opt for a local scooter taxi for a livelier experience. Its terraced summit, formed from columnar basalt, consists of neatly arranged stone blocks that speak to deliberate human intervention. Columnar basalt, created when volcanic lava cools under specific conditions, forms geometric shapes, but at Gunung Padang, the stones are meticulously stacked, suggesting that an ancient society reshaped the natural formations for a specific purpose. The structure rises about 200 meters above a nearby river, with its terraced levels spanning the hilltop. It is composed of 5 distinct tiers, creating the impression of a stepped pyramid. Archaeologists agree on its human origins, but the mystery of when it was constructed and for what purpose remains unsolved. Recent studies have ignited global interest, particularly the suggestion that Gunung Padang may be far older than initially thought, perhaps as much as 27,000 years old. Such a timeline would place its creation in an era when humans were assumed to be primitive hunter-gatherers, incapable of large-scale engineering projects. The mystery of Gunung Padang gained international attention thanks to Graham Hancock's Netflix series Ancient Apocalypse. Hancock, known for his controversial theories about lost advanced civilizations, spotlighted the site's potential significance. He argued that the pyramid-like structure might be evidence of a forgotten culture far older than previously acknowledged. His claims, while compelling to some, have faced criticism from mainstream archaeologists who caution against jumping to conclusions without more evidence. Nonetheless, Hancock's spotlight on the site brought it to the attention of a global audience, intensifying the call for more rigorous scientific study. However, the mystery of Gunung Padang stretches back far before modern scientific debates or Netflix spotlights. Its story begins in the dense jungles of colonial Java, where whispers of a lost palace drew one adventurous settler into an unforgettable discovery: the mystery of Gunung Padang. In 1914, when Java was a colony under Dutch rule, its jungles were dotted with farms carved out by European settlers. Life for these colonists was isolated, and the dense rainforest often felt like a world of mystery, teeming with untold secrets. Early that year, a Dutch colonist left his farm on foot, drawn by an intriguing tale shared by local villagers. They spoke of a lost palace, built by a mythical king in the distant past and hidden deep in the jungle. His curiosity piqued, the colonist ventured into the forest, determined to uncover the truth. What he found would eventually stir excitement far beyond Java. After a challenging trek, the colonist stumbled upon something extraordinary: an enormous hill rising out of the jungle, its slopes marked by a series of steps that climbed to the summit. At the top, he found a vast scatter of massive rectangular stones, their edges softened by the jungle's relentless grip over the centuries. Vines and moss cloaked the scene, adding to its air of ancient mystery. Could this be the fabled palace he had set out to find? The colonist hurried back to his farm and penned a letter to the Dutch authorities, describing the site in vivid detail. His letter eventually reached the pages of the Report on the Department of Antiquities, a publication from the Netherlands, sparking intrigue among scholars and adventurers alike. Questions arose. What was this place? Who had built it? And for what purpose? And most interestingly, what other secrets might lie buried beneath the surface? Despite the initial buzz, the Dutch government never followed up on the colonists' findings. World events and colonial priorities took precedence, and the hill, later identified as Gunung Padang, faded into obscurity. By 1949, Indonesia had achieved independence, and the site seemed destined to remain a forgotten relic of the past. But history has a way of resurfacing. In 1979, 3 local residents of Java were exploring the jungle when they rediscovered the mysterious hill. Recognizing the significance of their find, they reported it to local authorities. This time, the response was swift. The Indonesian government dispatched archaeologists and preservation experts to investigate the site. Igniting a new wave of curiosity, researchers soon realized the scope of what lay hidden atop Gunung Padang. Thousands of stone blocks, each weighing between 550 and 1,300 pounds, were scattered across 5 terraces, all linked by a staircase of 370 steps. These terraces spanned 3,000 square feet and revealed a remarkable degree of planning and construction. The stones themselves were volcanic andesite, naturally formed by eruptions but painstakingly transported to the hill's summit, 300 feet above the surrounding valley. The effort required to move such immense stones without modern machinery was staggering, raising immediate questions. Who had undertaken such a monumental task, and why? What purpose did the site serve? Despite the mystery, early studies offered only modest conclusions. Based on weathering patterns and other surface observations, researchers estimated the site dated back to around 2500 to 1500 BCE. They assumed it was an ancient settlement or ceremonial site, fascinating but not unique on a global scale. For years, Gunung Padang was catalogued as an interesting archaeological site, but not a revolutionary one. That perception, however, changed dramatically in 2011, when new studies began to challenge earlier assumptions, uncovering ancient secrets. As a senior geologist at the Indonesian Institute of Sciences, Danny Hilman Natawijaya spent his career exploring the mysteries of the natural world. Among the many fascinating places he encountered, none captivated him quite like Gunung Padang. Unlike the weathered topography around it, this hill looked oddly young and, as Natawijaya described it, artificial. In 2011, Natawijaya's curiosity was rewarded when he was chosen to lead a team of geologists and archaeologists to study Gunung Padang. Supported by the Indonesian government, the project aimed to uncover the secrets of this peculiar site. Initial investigations seemed straightforward. Radiocarbon dating of the soil beneath the surface stone blocks produced dates of around 1500 to 500 BCE, consistent with earlier findings from the late 1970s. At first, it seemed that Gunung Padang fit comfortably within the known timeline of human history. But as the team began to dig deeper, they made astonishing discoveries that turned their expectations upside down. Using tubular drills to extract cores of earth and stone, they uncovered evidence of human-made structures buried beneath the surface. Even more surprising was the discovery that the deeper they went, the older the structures became. Their excavation revealed 3 distinct layers. The first layer, just beneath the surface, was dated to roughly 2,500 to 3,500 years ago. This aligned with their initial estimates. However, the second layer, buried about 10 feet down, was dated to between 7,500 and 8,300 years ago. The third layer, astonishingly, was found nearly 50 feet underground and dated as far back as 28,000 years ago. These dates challenged everything historians and archaeologists thought they knew about human civilization. At 7,500 years old, the second layer predated the ancient Sumerians, considered one of the earliest known civilizations by 3,000 years. It was also far older than the ancient Egyptians, who built their iconic pyramids around 4,500 years ago. But the third layer, dating to 28,000 years ago, pointed to a time long before the last ice age, a period when humans were believed to live only as small groups of hunter-gatherers. Faced with these incredible findings, the team expanded their research. They used advanced technologies to map what lay beneath the surface. These tools revealed a massive, complex structure hidden within the hill. The second layer contained neatly arranged rectangular blocks in a matrix pattern, while the third layer featured even larger structures. It became clear that the surface stones were only the tip of the iceberg. Natawijaya and his team reported that Gunung Padang was not a natural hill at all, but a terraced pyramid built in layers over millennia. Their findings suggested that the youngest construction was built atop much older, more sophisticated structures. The entire site covered at least 15 hectares, with the deeper layers representing earlier phases of construction by unknown builders from a distant past. For Natawijaja, the evidence was undeniable. He believed that the geophysical data showed Gunung Padang was a man-made pyramid, and its construction began long before the end of the last ice age. The scale of the work, especially at the deeper layers, demonstrated advanced engineering skills comparable to those used in building the Egyptian pyramids or Europe's great megalithic sites. He concluded that this was the work of a lost civilization, one that predated all known human societies. Such a claim was both extraordinary and controversial. If true, it would rewrite human history, pushing the origins of civilization back tens of thousands of years. It also raised profound questions about who these ancient builders were and how they achieved such a monumental feat. These questions remain unanswered, but the possibilities they suggest are nothing short of staggering. The Indonesian government quickly recognized the significance of these discoveries. President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono called the site a project of immense value for humanity. The government poured resources into further excavations and provided the team with cutting-edge equipment. Even the military was enlisted to assist in the work. A helipad was built at the top of Gunung Padang to allow the president and other officials to visit the site and witness its progress firsthand. The discoveries at Gunung Padang have sparked both excitement and skepticism within the scientific community. Critics have questioned the dating methods used and urged caution in interpreting the findings. Others, however, see the site as a groundbreaking discovery that could reshape our understanding of early human history. As the excitement surrounding Gunung Padang grew, the research team began using more advanced technology to uncover hidden aspects of the site. Their findings suggested that the complexities of Gunung Padang extended far beyond what was previously imagined, revealing underground chambers. The research led by Natawijaja has brought new insights into the structure of the site, suggesting that Gunung Padang may be far more complex and mysterious than previously understood. Through the use of cutting-edge subsurface imaging techniques, the team revealed the presence of large underground chambers and an intricate network of cavities beneath the megalithic terraces. The investigations began with a series of non-invasive geophysical surveys designed to explore the subsurface of Gunung Padang without disturbing the site. The team employed three primary techniques: ground-penetrating radar, seismic tomography, and electrical resistivity tomography. Each of these methods provides a unique way of probing the ground and revealing what lies beneath the surface, offering a more comprehensive understanding of the site's hidden features. Ground-penetrating radar is one of the most effective tools for revealing underground structures without the need for excavation. It works by sending electromagnetic pulses through the ground, which then interact with materials beneath the surface. When these pulses hit an object or a boundary where the material properties change, such as a void or a solid structure, the radar waves are reflected back to the surface. These reflections are then recorded and analyzed to create detailed images of the subsurface features. At Gunung Padang, ground-penetrating radar was instrumental in detecting anomalies beneath the terraces. The radar data revealed the presence of unusual reflections that indicated the possibility of buried chambers. The team was able to map these anomalies, which pointed to large voids located beneath various parts of the site. These voids were interpreted as potential chambers, some of which were surprisingly large, possibly linked by tunnels or passageways. The ground-penetrating radar data provided the first glimpse of what appeared to be a vast underground complex, suggesting that Gunung Padang was not merely a surface-level structure, but may have been built with a significant subterranean component. Seismic tomography was another crucial tool used by Natawijaja's team to probe the site's underground features. Seismic tomography uses seismic waves generated by natural sources such as earthquakes or explosions, or even artificial sources like controlled detonations, to create images of the subsurface. These seismic waves travel through different materials at different speeds, and by measuring the velocity of these waves, researchers can identify variations in the materials beneath the surface. Low-velocity anomalies, in particular, are often associated with cavities or voids, while high-velocity anomalies are linked to solid rock or dense materials. At Gunung Padang, seismic tomography was used to examine the structure of the pyramid mound and the surrounding terraces. The results showed clear evidence of low-velocity anomalies situated between layers of higher-velocity materials. These anomalies were interpreted as possible voids or underground chambers. One of the most striking findings was a low-velocity anomaly between terraces 1 and 2, which suggested a large cavity beneath the surface. This finding was crucial in confirming the existence of a hidden underground structure at the site, further supporting the idea that Gunung Padang may be far older and more complex than traditional archaeological theories suggest. In addition to the low-velocity anomalies, the seismic data also revealed vertical features beneath the terraces, such as columns or walls, which may indicate that the underground chambers were part of a larger, man-made structure. These vertical features were consistent with the kind of architectural elements that could be expected in a large ancient construction, suggesting that Gunung Padang may have served a much more elaborate purpose than initially thought. Electrical resistivity tomography was the third key method used in the investigation of Gunung Padang's subsurface. Electrical resistivity tomography works by measuring the electrical resistivity of the ground using electrodes placed in a grid pattern. Different materials conduct electricity at different rates, so by measuring how easily the current flows through the soil, researchers can map variations in the subsurface. This technique is particularly useful for identifying cavities, tunnels, and other structures, as they usually have different resistivity compared to surrounding soil or rock. At Gunung Padang, electrical resistivity tomography surveys provided further confirmation of the existence of large cavities beneath the terraces. The surveys revealed high resistivity anomalies, which are typically indicative of voids or empty spaces. These anomalies were most prominent beneath the ramp between terraces 1 and 2, where the data suggested a large underground chamber. The size of the chamber was estimated to be around 10 meters long, 15 meters wide, and 10 meters tall, a significant space by any measure. Additional high resistivity anomalies were also observed beneath terraces 1 and 5, further supporting the idea that the site contains a complex network of chambers and tunnels. One of the most intriguing aspects of the electrical resistivity tomography survey was the identification of a possible central tunnel running through the site. The data suggested the presence of a long, narrow passage beneath the pyramid structure, which could potentially connect different chambers and parts of the site. This finding adds to the growing evidence that Gunung Padang was not just a simple stone terrace, but an advanced, multi-layered construction with a subterranean component that served an unknown purpose. In addition to the geophysical surveys, core drilling operations were conducted to obtain physical samples from beneath the surface. These drillings provided critical direct evidence of the subsurface features detected by the ground-penetrating radar, seismic tomography, and electrical resistivity tomography. The drilling team encountered a blank zone at a depth of 7 meters, followed by a dramatic loss of water circulation, which suggested the presence of a large cavity or void. At a depth of 14 meters, the water circulation loss had reached an impressive 32,000 liters, further supporting the hypothesis of a large underground space. In another part of the site, the drill encountered a rock core at a depth of 7 meters. This core was identified as andesitic rock, a dense material that could indicate the presence of a vertical structure, such as a wall or gate, within the underground chamber. A follow-up 3D electrical resistivity tomography survey was conducted to gather more detailed data on the underground features. This survey used a larger grid of electrodes and provided a more comprehensive view of the subsurface. The 3D data revealed large cavities beneath the surface, particularly between terraces 1 and 2. The shape and size of these cavities were more clearly defined in the 3D model, showing that the chamber beneath the ramp between these terraces is roughly 10 meters by 15 meters by 10 meters. The 3D data also revealed additional chambers beneath terraces 1 and 5, further supporting the idea that the site is home to a complex system of underground spaces. These results were consistent with both the seismic and ground-penetrating radar data, confirming that Gunung Padang is not just a surface-level archaeological site, but a multi-dimensional structure with extensive subterranean elements. The geophysical surveys and core drilling provided substantial evidence that something significant lay beneath the surface of Gunung Padang. Yet the implications of these findings quickly sparked controversy within the archaeological community. revealing deeper tensions about challenging established historical narratives. Now it's time for today's subscriber pick. In the heart of the West Java jungle, a group of explorers uncovered something so astonishing that it would shake the foundations of history. For centuries, Gunung Padang had been regarded by locals as a sacred hill, its ancient stones quietly watching over the land. But what they unearthed beneath the earth was far more than a relic of the past. It was a pyramid. The pyramid, hidden beneath layers of soil and roots, defied everything known about ancient civilizations. Unlike anything found in the region, the pyramid's design was perfect, its stones arranged in precise mathematical patterns. As the explorers carefully excavated, they realized that this was no mere monument. It was a machine, powered by an energy source that no one could explain. When they activated the core, the ground trembled, and a hidden city emerged from the earth. The technology, the artifacts, the architecture, all were far beyond anything the modern world had ever seen. This pyramid changes the entire history. Gunung Padang was not just a site of worship, but a gateway to an ancient civilization that had mastered power and technology long before recorded history. Could this be the key to unlocking secrets of the past, or merely the first of many discoveries to come? Rewriting history. Natawijaya noted that rewriting history was not what his colleagues in archaeology expected or wanted to hear. Almost immediately, archaeologists in Indonesia began to oppose the research, calling for the project to be stopped. On the surface, the opposition focused on the methods and conclusions of the research team. Critics claimed that the excavation process wasn't conducted properly and that the interpretations of the findings were biased. They also raised concerns about the large amount of money being spent on the project, arguing that the funds should be used for their own research, which they believed was more important. However, as time went on, the true reasons for the opposition became clearer. Despite not conducting any research of their own, the archaeological establishment in Indonesia insisted that the remains at Gunung Padang could not possibly be older than 5,000 years. They thought this idea was illogical and that accepting it would challenge the accepted history of human civilization, as recorded in textbooks. In other words, their real issue was not with the evidence, but with the possibility that the history they had believed for so long could be wrong. They were unwilling to entertain the idea that human history might need to be rewritten. Natawijaya, however, remained determined. He understood the challenge ahead. He was confident that his case was based on solid scientific evidence, but he knew it would be difficult to change the minds of those who had held the same beliefs for so long. He argued that while the surface megaliths at Gunung Padang were less than 5,000 years old, it was the deeper layers, between 12,000 and 20,000 years old, that held the real importance. These layers, he believed, could change everything we know about history. Despite the strong opposition, the Indonesian government supported further research at Gunung Padang. As excavation continued, the discoveries only grew more extraordinary. The area was cleared of jungle to allow for deeper exploration, and researchers uncovered an impressive range of artifacts, including jewelry, ceramics, tools, household items, and weapons. Among these finds were coins that had been dated to 5200 BCE, thousands of years earlier than modern science had believed coins had first appeared, around 600 BCE. In addition to these artifacts, the team made another surprising discovery. The blocks at Gunung Padang, which formed the structure, were held together by a cement mixture containing clay, silica, and iron. This suggested that ancient people may have known how to melt iron long before the start of the Iron Age, which traditionally began around 1201 BCE. This finding challenged everything scientists had thought they knew about early human technology. But the surprises didn't stop there. Local legends spoke of a mysterious energy emanating from the blocks at Gunung Padang, making it a place of meditation for as long as anyone could remember. The ancient name for the site, Gunung Padang, translates to Mountain of Enlightenment. Curious to see if there was any truth to the legend, researchers decided to investigate further. Using modern equipment, they discovered that the blocks did indeed emit a relatively high frequency, which corresponded with the standard Western musical scale. This was a remarkable finding. The idea that ancient people understood the connection between frequency, vibration, and energy seemed almost impossible. Yet it aligned with theories from philosophers and scientists who explored vibrational medicine and the secrets of energy and frequency. The strange frequencies coming from Gunung Padang suggested that the ancient builders might have known secrets that we are only beginning to understand today. This raised the possibility that the people who constructed Gunung Padang were not just ancient, but also incredibly advanced, perhaps more so than we realize. This led to a fundamental question. Could everything we've been taught about the origins of human civilization be wrong? Unfortunately, we may never know the full answer to this question. In 2014, Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono's second term as president of Indonesia came to an end, as he had already served the maximum allowed by the country's constitution. Joko Widodo was elected to replace him. Unlike Yudhoyono, Widodo supported the views of the archaeological community when it came to the Gunung Padang site, an ancient location in Indonesia that had sparked debate among scientists. On October 1, 2014, the research at Gunung Padang was suddenly stopped. Dr. Natawijaja and his team were told to pack up their things and leave, instructed to forget their groundbreaking work. This was a surprising turn of events, as the research seemed to offer new and important findings about the site, which many believed could rewrite parts of Indonesia's history. The abrupt stop to the work raised questions about politics and science, leaving people wondering about the future of the site and its mysteries. The abrupt halt to research at Gunung Padang in 2014 left many unanswered questions, but the story didn't end there. About a decade later, new developments would bring the site back into the spotlight, sparking further debate and controversy. A battle over ancient history. On October 20, 2023, a paper was published in Archaeological Prospection by the research team led by Danny Hillman Natawijaja. The study revealed evidence of what could be the oldest pyramidal structure ever discovered, located at Gunung Padang in West Java, Indonesia. The paper suggested that parts of the structure could be more than 20,000 years old, challenging the conventional timeline of human history. The team argued that this was not a natural formation, as some had previously thought, but a man-made pyramid. However, the study quickly faced significant pushback from parts of the academic community. Critics questioned the conclusions drawn in the paper, arguing that the rock layers could be the result of natural geological processes rather than human construction. These critics also challenged the reliability of the radiocarbon dating used to determine the age of the soil samples, suggesting that the samples might not accurately represent the timeline. This opposition ended in a retraction of the paper by Archaeological Prospection. The retraction came as a significant blow to the research team, who had spent years meticulously studying the site and gathering evidence to support their findings. The decision to retract the paper was based on the claims made by third-party critics, who raised concerns about potential errors in the study's analysis. These critics argued that the soil samples did not contain any archaeological artifacts or cultural materials linking them to human activity, and therefore the dating might have been misinterpreted. In response to the retraction, the authors expressed profound disappointment. They argued that the decision to remove their paper from the journal was unfair and lacked a solid scientific basis. The authors emphasized that their study was based on robust evidence, including artifacts found alongside the soil samples, which they believed clearly indicated human involvement at the site. They also pointed out that the rock layers at Gunung Padang appeared to be too structured and organized to have formed naturally, further supporting their argument that the site was man-made. Despite their efforts to provide counter-evidence and refute the critics' claims, the retraction stood. The authors argued that this decision reflected a failure in the scientific process, as it overlooked the substantial evidence they had presented. They also expressed concern that the retraction could hinder further investigation into Gunung Padang, a site that they believed held important insights into the ancient history of human civilization. In their formal response, the authors called for the academic community to stand by their findings and challenge the retraction. They urged for the principles of transparency, fairness, and open-mindedness to be upheld in scientific inquiry. The authors also suggested that the retraction was an example of censorship, stifling new ideas that challenged long-held historical narratives. Could the retraction of this groundbreaking discovery at Gunung Padang be a case of scientific progress being stifled? Or is there truly more to uncover before we rewrite the history of ancient civilizations?